the United States Oregon Coast Climate Crisis Walk. We are walking from CoosBay, Oregon, north, up the coast, 35 days walking to Astoria, then east to Portland, 350 miles. We are one of thousands of events in 141 countries around the world. We are truly a global event. Along our walk, we'll talk with communities about the threat of rising sea level due to global warming. Let's hear what it's all about with Phil and Courtney.
Okay, I'm Phil Carver, and I worked from 1980 through 2008 with the Oregon Department of Energy, and I'm now retired, and I'm walking 350 miles to get people's attention on 350 parts per million as the safe level of CO2.
And I'm Courtney Collins, and I'm a Bachelor of Science graduate from the University of Oregon in Environmental Science, and in my 3 years since graduating have had dynamic career opportunities, but as of now I am walking 350 miles to bring awareness to global climate change.
I've been studying climate change for 21 years. 20 years in my job at the Department of Energy. I was the co-lead on climate change issues, and I've been seeing the science get more and more solid over the years, and the concerns of the scientists grow and grow. Their warnings are more stronger and stronger. And I saw Bill McKibben and 5,000 other people try to get arrested at the National Capital coal plant, where right in DC, they generate coal-fired electricity. And so they didn't get arrested, but they did get the Congress to shut down that coal plant. And then I read about Bill McKibben's 350.org and the idea that 350 parts per million is the safe level. And then in March of this year, the Copenhagen synthesis report came out. All the scientists of the world got to Copenhagen for a scientific conference in advance of the world negotiations that are going to occur there in December. And they said, the report says that sea level rise this century will be about 1 meter or higher. And further reading in the literature indicates the range is somewhere between 2 feet and 6 feet, depending on what we do. And that's a huge difference for coastal communities like Lincoln City, where we are here today. And so I felt it was a good time to try to get the message out to coastal communities and the communities along the estuary of the Columbia River that they face substantially higher risk of sea level rise than we knew about even a few years ago. And with the Copenhagen Convention coming up, that is a good time. And then so October 24th is the day designated for worldwide events, and there's over 1,600 events scheduled for October 24th. So it seemed like a good idea to focus on the 350, to walk 350 miles from near CoosBay through Astoria to Portland and arrive on October 24th. And there's going to be a big rally in Portland on October 24th about 350 and the safe level of CO2.
All right, and my motivation came from supporting Phil in his efforts to get the word out and the science out behind 350 parts per million, and educating the general population about global warming and global climate change, and then also kind of enhancing the fact that we all play an individual role in decreasing our carbon emissions, and just helping people learn about decreasing their carbon emissions and what they can do to do that.
Well, I think that it's going to become increasingly difficult and expensive, and the carbon footprint is going to be really unacceptable to bring our foods and supplies huge distances. And so I think the idea of more locally grown foods and locally produced materials, and to reduce our consumption so that we don't need so much money and we can have more time to spend with our families and doing the things we really enjoy, rather than work way more than 40 hours a week to have large cars and large houses and take long distance vacations. We really don't need those things for an enjoyable life. In fact, I think to some extent they're now interfering with an enjoyable life, and they're certainly interfering with life on the planet.
Definitely.
I believe that we are part of an interconnected web of life, and I believe that we need to have more reverence and respect for that interconnected web of life, not just for our own survivability, but for our spirituality. And it's a moral imperative that we get more connected to the web of life that supports us.
Definitely. And I believe that we are here as stewards of this land to take care of the land and in a respectful manner. So therefore, living in balance with nature rather than trying to, just push nature aside so that everything can be affected by humans. I think we need to have more of a balance.
Any words of wisdom? What do you want people to do?
I'd like people to organize an October 24th event in their community, so worldwide all communities can say we need a strong treaty in Copenhagen in December, and we need to all work and make sure we're moving towards getting back to 350 parts per million. And I think everything we do in our daily lives and in terms of writing our representatives in Congress and in talking with our friends and neighbors, this really is the most important issue of the millennium. We face 2 to 6 feet of sea level rise every century for this millennium. So it's a big difference whether it's 2 feet of sea level rise or 6 feet of sea level rise per century.
And keep learning about global warming and climate change and educate yourselves and just do what you can to decrease your carbon emissions and do what you can to learn about how to decrease your carbon emissions and share those thoughts and ideas with the people that you care about and talk about these things.
And now, Bill Bradbury, 2010 Oregon Governor candidate, has this to say.
It's real clear to me that there are some very serious challenges that all of us on this planet face. And I really think we each have a moral responsibility to reduce our global warming pollution. And our species has shown this incredible ability to adapt to changes. And I'm really hopeful that we can, in fact, make the changes we need to make, but also adapt and adapt effectively to the changes that are coming on the planet anyway. And there's a whole series of things that we can do to really both improve our environment and improve our economy. And that is great resilience. And it's through things like developing renewable energy, solar, wind, geothermal, wave. It's through building our buildings differently so that they're more energy efficient. It's through growing our crops differently. It's all these things that really offer us a significant employment opportunity and also help us meet our moral obligation to take care of this planet. I truly believe that all of the citizens of this planet need to, A, recognize that there's a huge problem with global warming, and all of the people on this planet need to come together to find a way to reduce our global warming pollution. I firmly believe that this is in fact possible and incredibly important to do. Well, I think there's a whole series of things that people can do, whether it be to drive less or drive a more fuel efficient car, or really find ways to weatherize your home so you don't use so much energy heating your home. Learn to have it a little bit cooler than you might be used to. As Lori says, wear 3 sweaters before you turn the heat up. There are a whole lot of things each of us can do, and we all need to be supportive of the political actions that are necessary at the city, county, state, and particularly national level to make the changes that are really going to be necessary.